Daniel Harper lives in a small log cabin located near the edge of Riding Mountain National Park in Manitoba, Canada. That morning, the strong, white sunlight of summer flooded the garden behind his house. Short green grass interspersed with patches of dry brown earth creates a familiar and peaceful rural landscape. In the distance, rows of tall birch and pine trees stood silently under the clear blue sky. Daniel knelt down to tend to the tomato and green bean plants, his gloves still damp with soil. He has lived here for over 20 years and understands the rhythm of nature around him. Occasionally, he would still see moose wandering through the garden or bear footprints imprinted on the soft ground. But he had never felt as uneasy in his own garden as he did that morning. In the midst of the quiet space, a faint, sudden groan emerged from the bushes behind. It wasn't the sound of birds or squirrels, but a fragmented sound filled with pain and exhaustion. Daniel stood up, his gaze fixed intently on the leaves rustling gently in the sunlight. He clearly sensed that something unusual was approaching his garden. From behind the thick green bushes, an animal the size of an adult dog staggered out into the light. Its fur was tattered and dirty, and its body was so thin that its ribs were visible beneath its thin skin. Its head was stuck in an old, faded, scratched plastic box covered in dried mud. The animal staggered along, bumping into trees and fences as if it couldn't see where it was going. It emitted faint moans, echoing in the quiet stillness of the summer morning. Daniel took a step back when he realized this wasn't just an ordinary stray dog. He hurried into the porch and grabbed the long stick he usually used to chase deer away from the vegetable garden. Back on the lawn, he approached the animal cautiously, his heart pounding. He gently touched the tip of his cane to the plastic box that was stuck on top of it. The animal whimpered softly and then collapsed onto the patch of short green grass interspersed with dry brown earth. Under the harsh, white sunlight, the muscular, albeit emaciated, body was clearly visible to Daniel. He felt a chill run down his spine when he realized that the body structure resembled that of a young mountain lion. Daniel quickly retreated towards the small wooden house, his eyes fixed on the motionless creature. He closed the door and immediately called the ranger station near Riding Mountain National Park. The voice on the other end of the line instructed him to stay inside the house and not approach the animal. They said that young mountain lions are sometimes spotted in the park's outskirts. Daniel stood by the window looking out at the lawn, where the plastic box still covered the poor animal's head. The bright sunlight made the old box look like a cruel human trap. He wondered how long it had endured being blind and unable to hunt. Perhaps due to prolonged hunger and thirst, it sought refuge in a residential area as a last resort. His initial fear gradually gave way to sorrow and compassion. He understood that he was unable to help without professional intervention. The sound of the pickup truck engine echoed after about 30 minutes of tense waiting. The two rangers stepped out of the vehicle into the bright summer sun and quickly assessed the situation. The two rangers introduced themselves as Lucas Bennett and Aaron Mitchell from the conservation station near the park. They observed it from a distance and confirmed it was a young mountain lion that was severely emaciated. Lucas said it had probably been stuck in the plastic box for weeks. Aaron concluded that it could only survive on the little water remaining at the bottom of the box. After a quick discussion with Daniel, they decided to administer anesthesia to ensure everyone's safety. Lucas carefully used a stick to control and stabilize the animal's trapped head. Aaron prepared the anesthetic injection and aimed precisely at the mountain lion's hind leg. The injection was administered quickly under the bright, intense Canadian summer sun. Just a few minutes later, the thin, frail body went limp and lay motionless on the grass. Daniel stood behind them, holding his breath as he watched the two rangers perform their professional moves. The atmosphere became tense but focused amidst the lush greenery of the garden. Once the animal is completely unconscious, the real rescue operation begins. Lucas and Aaron retrieved specialized cutting tools from the back of the white pickup truck. They knelt down beside the mountain lion and began cutting away layers of thick, discolored plastic. The box gradually cracked under the strong force of the cutting pliers, but still required extreme caution. After several tense minutes, the last layer of plastic finally peeled off the gaunt face. The mountain lion's face was revealed, its fur a dull gray color and showing a few scratches from friction. Under the bright sunlight, it looked much smaller and weaker than its inherent predatory instinct suggested. Aaron checked the breathing and heart rate while Lucas observed the pupil reflexes. They placed it on a sturdy canvas stretcher and then lifted it up in a synchronized and careful manner. The pieces of old plastic boxes scattered across the green lawn served as evidence of the heartbreaking incident. Two park rangers walked slowly toward the open back of the pickup truck. Daniel stood silently, watching the wild animal being carried away in a heavy silence. The car door closed, marking the end of the rescue operation in the small garden. At the ranger station near Riding Mountain, veterinarians immediately took in the animal. It was placed in a secure cage and given intravenous fluids to rehydrate it. The examination results showed that it was severely emaciated due to a prolonged lack of food. The doctor determined that if it had been delayed by a few more days, it might not have survived. By that afternoon, the mountain lion began to regain consciousness in its small recovery enclosure. It lay still, drinking water and eating small amounts of soft food under the supervision of staff. After 3 days, it was able to stand up and walk slowly in the confined space. Lucas and Aaron take turns monitoring its health progress each day. A few weeks later, the coat began to thicken again and the muscles gradually recovered noticeably. It was moved to a larger, semi-wild enclosure to hone its survival instincts. 3 months of persistent care helped it regain its former strong physique. Its eyes were no longer tired, but instead shone with a familiar wild instinct. The release date back into the forest will be set once experts confirm it is capable of surviving on its own. The pickup truck carrying it drove deep into the forest near the edge of Riding Mountain National Park. White sunlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating the green grass and dry forest floor. The iron cage door opened in the solemn silence of the summer morning. The mountain lion slowly walked outside, pausing for a few seconds to savor the feeling of freedom. It turned its head to look at the people who had saved its life over the past 3 months. Lucas and Aaron stood silently, watching its steady steps as it went deeper into the forest. Daniel Harper was also present from afar, his heart filled with indescribable emotions. The animal gradually disappeared behind the towering birch trees of the national park. The forest returned to its familiar tranquility under the brilliant white sunlight. Daniel understood that nature could be harsh, but human kindness could change destiny. That story became an unforgettable memory of the fragile connection between humans and the Canadian wilderness.